Hey guys, Tarke here, and I'm going to quickly show off my build in action with my friend Kane, then go into the full breakdown. Before we get in, I just want to say Path of Building currently shows my character with 3,464 DPS. This is a pure Immolate build using Quill Rain with a full Quant setup. Let's go. So this is Zana 8, fully sextanted, +2 breach, and we've just been farming quite happily. So far we've gotten 2 doctors, I want to say, and a whole lot of currency. We've had 3 biscos in the last 2 days, basically. 3 exalted orbs drop in just today's session of mapping. And the whole kind of concept is we've built 2 builds with fairly good synergy. My friend Kane is playing a hybrid curse aura support. Well, he's low life, but hybrid in the way that he split his stuff. He's gone Trickster, volatile. He's gone Trickster for the flat energy shield and for the reservation tricks because he's using a Esh's Visage. You have to say above 36% life and energy shield. He's using Blasphemy, Flammability, Prod Weakness, and he runs a Generosity, Anger. Other than that, most of the DPS is coming from those additional sources, plus my very high additional projectiles, so on and so forth. I won't worry too much about loot, I'll pick it all up at the end, but you can see it does pretty good clear. I'm using a single inspired learning, and it just makes the build map faster. The clear is basically the same without it, it's just moves slower without. I haven't got +2 on a Devoto's Devotion, so I'm missing attack speed and movement speed there. And again, this is on a Quill Rain, which has 40% less attack damage taken. If you manage to get a +1 Corrupted Lionized Glare, that is the actual Bis bow. However, Quill Rain for pure map clear feels a lot smoother, and this is very reminiscent of anyone who's ever played Explosive Arrow. Basically, I joke that Immolate is the new Explosive Arrow, and it's just pretty bloody good. So, yes, we don't kill bosses, we go purely for maps. The reason being is farming springs, hardcore, it's not worth a random detonate dead death. Nothing really ever drops from them. And if you want a pure bossing character, I would recommend looking at my most recent video, which covered a poison setup, which is a very, very similar playstyle as this character, but also has a very good single target. As you can see, the main weakness currently of the build is just movement speed when I don't have all the crazy buffs active. I am currently using a combination of life gain on hit through the Theif's Torment ring and Slayer Leech for very high sustain on obviously a mind over mana base, which is why you see all the unreserved mana. And it's one of the tankiest characters I've played in a long time, and by far the tankiest character I've played in the league. It has very high dodge and evasion, decent single target, amazing map clear, off-screens basically anything in the game, and has roughly 6,000 to 7,000 raw effective HP. And we also get Fortify from my support setup using the Vigilant Strike Jewel, meaning we have near, say, 80% uptime on that. And you can just face tank most things. If you wanted to, if you played in softcore, if you really don't give a fuck, you could use Point Blank as well for even more easy damage scaling. But this build is basically spec out of every single DPS node and just invest into more movement speed and more forms of life. So this is pretty much a full map clear. We got a little bit lost since you weren't on the voice comms, but that gives you a rough idea of how the build works in function. So now let's break down the gear. So as I said, Theif's Torment, my new favorite item in the game, gives Quant, all res, can't use other ring slots, but most importantly, 50 reduced effective curses on you, and +60 life gained and mana gained. What this means is that even though we attack ridiculously quickly, and you can see we very quickly boom ourselves, each individual tornado shot costs 55. We gain 30 mana for each enemy hit. Enemies can be hit by all of our proj, same with the life. Insane regen occurs. This gives you ridiculous amounts of raw HPS, ignoring Leech. We have Slayer Leech on top of this, and thanks to Pantheon, Soul of Arakali, we get 50% increased recovery of life if you stop taking damage over time. Run a Castle Damage Taken level 1 with Immortal Cool. This has like the most sustain I've ever had on any build in the entire time I've been playing Path of Exile. This ring is amazing Previously, I was running a Essence Worm using Anger and messing around with Grace, including the Forest Setups. This is just better. I think from now on, I'm just going to plan every Mon build around this item because I like attack-based builds. I've managed to swap into a Lionized Vision, giving me a pseudo 7-link. Previously, the only way I was getting Pierce was through the Jewel. There is a Jewel you get from the just quest leveling through, which gives 1 Pierce. That was enough. With all the projectiles we have and the amount of attack speed, 1 Pierce is fine. 7 Pierce makes the build feel smoother. If you have projectile weakness in your setup, that gives you Pierce anyway. It's just more multiplier. I was previously talking about Chance to Ignite versus Fire Pen. With the Quill Rain, with a few Jewels, with Chance to Ignite on them. Do I have any here? So here, for example, you can get 5% max on a Jewel. You get 10% from these 2 nodes, 5% here, and then if you get a couple of Jewels, you can quite easily get up to like 25%. Flammability gives Chance to Ignite. With my support, I'm looking at like 40-50% Chance to Ignite with his Curse Effectiveness. With a couple of Jewels, you're playing like 20-30. Just find the sweet spot in your gear. Because I've also swapped into the Quill Rain, I've spec'd out of these 3 points for the extra crit because this is a Elemental Overload build. Again, Elemental Overload, all of our damage is coming from Immolate. If you don't know, Immolate gives you a lot of raw added fire damage against burning enemies. The main misconception people have of this build is assume enemies must always be igniting, must constantly be igniting enemies. This isn't true. You only need to ignite the enemy once, and because you attack so rapidly, stuff just dies during the duration with all the additional projectiles, and this is without frenzies and blood rage on. You get the idea. Without Vol Haste, it's just silliness, silliness, silliness. You can see I've literally spec'd out of all of the nodes that I can. I've spec'd out of Catalyze, I just didn't need it. I've even picked up Quick Step and changed my Bandit rewards to Krait for just more attack and movement speed. If I had the Devotos, it would feel even better. But sadly, no one is selling one on hardcore. If you have a +2 Tornado Shot Devotos or even just +1, please hit me up. I will purchase it. I want the attack speed. But anyway, that's another matter. I would highly recommend this character. While it does require a lot of uniques, there are budget versions available without all the additional proj. There are ways you can gear it. And really just try experimenting. This has been the most enjoyable build I've played in such a long time because there's just so much raw experimentation I've done with this tree. Far more so than any other build I've ever currently played. Very, very straightforward. Thank you for the kind message, but let's put D&D on because I'm recording a video right now. And let's talk about Quant Setups. So you saw throughout that map I had Rampage. Rampage is from Bisco's Leash. Now, there is currently a bug with Rampage where you can equip a Rampage item once the timer starts, swap it out for something else. You can do this if you don't need the resist on your belt, easy peasy. I don't like the extra micromanagement. If I had a crazy belt like a Headhunter or something, I would do it. Currently, I'm not doing it. That is an option. Rampage is amazing if you're farming breaches. This gives you more rarity. You get more random drops. You just get more currency. It gives you Quant. Quant here. That's 21%. Then you get up to 100% on a collar. Seems good, seems good. If you had a 6-link bow instead of the Lionized, used a Combs, you could then also get away with using Sedima's Touch for even more quant if you're just going for the crazy breach farm setup that we've gone for. But the most important thing is just attack seed wherever you can get it. 21 Immolate, if you can get it, is very important. Quality on your GMP is more attack speed. Great. Now, this is an example of where I've gone cheap on the build. Now, Signal Fire is the best in Slot Quiver because this is a 100% fire build through all of our conversion. However, it's one of those things of, because we don't really care that much about the way we deal our damage type, and most of it's just from the raw attack speed and the crazy buff stacking we do, the DPS from going from a Signal Fire to a Black Gleam is very, very minimal, and Additional Arrow is king. If you can get Additional Arrow, go for it. Additional Arrow is the best thing in the game. The core minimum requirements, I would say, for this build to function is a Dying Sun, and then the Helm Enchant if you can get it. But without it, you can just use a normal Devotos, no Helm Enchant shenanigans, plus this, and that feels enough. And you can get Corrupted Core Rains very easily. I've been buying them at 10c each. I have about 3 because I have lots of different builds planned around these kind of combinations of items. To give you an example of just how easy it is to get corrupted +1 quivers, I've been just stacking them. I have a lot. I have Heroes, I have everything. You can get them for like 5 to 10C. If you can't afford the exact setup for this build, just do a similar build using Tornado Shot, using additional proj on whatever you can get. Go Raider, do shenanigans with Scion plus proj with Deadeye, etc. It just really, really works. So again, looking at the skill tree, get Ellie Overload, somehow get some flat damage, fit an Inspired Learning in your build. If you don't know what it does, if you have 4 notables allocated in the area, so here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. When you kill a rare monster, gain 1 of its mods for 20 seconds. When you're farming Breach, you're constantly having these monsters coming in. Harbinger just feeds you these rares. It's really, really good. I'm not even playing the fastest ascendancy possible, and it just kind of works. You can see I've spec'd out of Vitality Void because I'm using the Thief's Torment because I have so much raw just HPS with it. And I still have 0.4% leech here, and the Overkill leech, which is quite happily ticking along. I don't need the mana leech because, again, I have the flat mana from the Thief's Torment. And yeah, that's basically that. You can drop this flask and use any other unique flask that you want. Again, because it's an Avatar of Fire build, we can only currently deal fire damage with how I have it set up. If I was to recommend another unique flask, I'd probably say Overflowing Chalice, just because it means you have more uptime, or just something super defensive, like a Taste of Hate, or a Quartz for more dodge chance with shock immunity, whatever. We have freeze here, we have movement speed here, shock on the life, and because we are a Slayer again, we have immunity to bleed while leeching, we cannot be stunned while leeching, and we have Onslaught from Bane of Legends with the Cull. Viable options just finally, Slayer, Raider, Pathfinder. No, you want something which gives you movement speed basically, and then Scion with a combination of either Deadeye, Guardian, because it gives you attack, cast, and movement speed. Another really cool thing you can do, my new favorite combo, is you do Guardian Scion, gives you 25% reduced effective curses, plus Thief's Torment, that's 75% reduced effective curses. And very, very briefly, I can run around with like no resistances and still be any weakness cap because of the 50% reduced effect. I only need something like 94% resists to be fine, and you can very easily fix your resists using jewels, because really the only mod you want is life, chance to ignite, attack speed if you can get it, resists. I've stopped going for proj damage, I've stopped going for whatever, I'm just using this because that's all I have right now. But your perfect jewel would look kind of like, do I have an example? Well, no, but your perfect jewel would be like maximum life, chance to ignite, then either resist or attack speed depending on what you have. And if you can get flat 2 mana gain on hit as a whatever stat, great, but you really don't need it if you're doing the Thief's Torment plus core and shenanigans. But it's a nice thing to have if you're going for the more traditional Lionized version. I'm Tarke, have a good day, bye-bye.